Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alissa, Coram, and Ed Carson here. And Ed, it was another strong day for growth stocks. Let's get a little preview of what we're going to be discussing today.
Well, we're going to be talking a little bit about AMD, Nvidia, and Alibaba, which all cleared some buy points today in a decidedly mixed session, as you implied.
Yeah, that's right. So here with the NASDAQ, closing above that 10,000 mark for the first time with a gain of 0.7%. Quite a few sessions in a row of gains here. Meanwhile, we did have the Dow down 1% for the day, the S&P down 0.5%, and small caps in particular lagging this session, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, the NASDAQ growth stocks clearly reasserting themselves, and now it's not just the coronavirus plays, it's the recovery growth stocks like Tesla, XP, some of those kind of stocks that got a hard hit in the crash. So growth is doing great. What happened today is that the market rallied a little bit on the Fed announcement that they weren't going to be raising rates until 2023. Fed Chief Powell came out, and the only issue with what he said is that he basically implied the Fed can't do any more. There's a limit to it, and the Fed is doing so much. So interest rates at zero, lots of stock bond buying, on and on and on. But there are limits, and so you need more fiscal stimulus. And anyway, the markets reacted negatively to that, but still, the market has been running up quite a bit. So we're still in really great shape.
Yeah, and just really quickly, want to pull up IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000 small caps. This 200-day line was a level that we were keeping an eye on, and it closing back below that level today. So just something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I mean, this is suggesting something about the economy, not as many growth names, energy, financials, some of that, and they didn't necessarily have a great day today.
All right, well, let's take a look at those names you mentioned at the top of the show, Ed. Starting off with AMD, it did come off of its session highs, but it ended with a gain of about 1.9% today, slightly above average volume, tacking on after a strong session Tuesday and trying to clear a handle here, but maybe there's also an earlier entry that some aggressive traders could be looking at here.
Yeah, investors could have bought when it went over 57.08. There's sort of that middle area in there. Also, there's sort of a trend line in the handle, maybe from the higher handle, or lots of different ways you could do it that you could have argued that it was above. So if you wanted to get into it when it bounced off the 50-day or it got above 57 today, yeah, you could do it. The issue is, of course, it wasn't great that it didn't clear this last buy point, but is that AMD is just not only its relative strength line, but sort of struggling in the past couple of months, which isn't, necessarily the worst thing since it's had a prior uptrend, but it's been lagging so many of its peers. I mean, why would you buy AMD when you could buy one of these other ones unless there are some game changer that says, okay, now AMD really is going to be the leader again. AMD hasn't really shown that.
Well, let's contrast this move with what we saw for Nvidia, AMD's rival, of course, here, and definitely a different looking chart here. The time that it did see that RS line dip definitely wasn't as significant as what we saw for AMD, and overall, you could say that the RS line is trending higher, it taking out and consolidation today and moving to new highs with a gain of about 3.6% today.
Yeah, once again, outperforming AMD, and it's been, I mean, there was a couple of buy points earlier. It's well extended from those. And, you probably could have added some shares today or yesterday if you had an existing position. If you were really aggressive, you could buy it because it's almost a 3 weeks tight. You could understand why somebody would do that. But, it has been doing so well. And it just, just a real contrast. And you can see the relative strength line as well, just how long it's been outperforming. I mean, AMD did that for quite a while. It just hasn't been as strong lately. So this is a more impressive move today and obviously in the last several weeks.
Yeah, and like you said, this goes to show you that there is definitely an art to chart reading with multiple entries that you could try to get into this thing, pullbacks, 21-day line, clearing tight areas. But the great news is we are discussing all of these types of strategies in depth every morning on IBD Live. So we definitely encourage everyone to check that out. And another name that we've been discussing on the show, maybe a little bit of mixed reviews, is Alibaba. It's one of our long-term leaders and had a solid gain today, Ed, of 1.4%. And it's been struggling to really clear that 220 level, was able to do so today with a little bit of oomph.
A little bit, and got over the 221.26 in the new buy point. It had that was sort of a peak of a late May breakout that sort of fizzled, and so it's doing all right here. The problem is, again, the RS line has been struggling for a few months, and like AMD, Alibaba has been lagging its peers. I mean, whether it's VIP Shop, which might have cleared a little entry, or even more, JD, Pinduoduo, and even like the school stocks. I mean, there's just so many that they've all sort of done better than Alibaba. So the question is, if you're going to take the risk of going into a China stock, I know Alibaba has the institutional growth, it's institutional holders, it's got the track record on growth, but the question is, why is it lagging? It's the same question you have with AMD. That raises a little bit of a question on that.
Yeah, it does, which is why you can't just look at the price action when you're looking for breakout stocks. You have to look at all of these other factors. And that's what's so great about what IBD does with our research on investors.com or a platform like MarketSmith, really helping you put all of these different factors into perspective. And we highlight all of these too, once again, on IBD Live. Before we get really into the promo for that, like I usually do at the end of the show, I have another thing that I want to highlight for you guys, and that is a video feedback survey. If you like our video content or have any feedback for us for how you think we should improve, we definitely encourage you to take this survey. I think it doesn't take too much time out of your day, and it's really useful for us. So how you get to that is investors.com/video survey. You can also check it out on my Twitter feed, but we'll definitely, for the recorded version of this, we'll put that URL at the bottom of the screen here. So once again, that's investors.com/video survey. Really encourage you to send in your, we'll use that to help improve our videos. And with that, I mentioned IBD Live. Definitely can submit your feedback about that show in this video survey as well. But that's our morning live stream, if you haven't checked it out yet, where our experts are sharing their screens and talking about notable stocks and market action, Ed.
Yeah, and there's different investing styles. It's still within that growth investing mentality. So I think it can be really useful because it's, not everybody is super aggressive and not everybody is really conservative. But a lot of different things. We have debates, but we're all on the same page. I think we have fun. And I would suggest, I would encourage people, because we talked about AMD and Nvidia, but perhaps the real leader in the group is Inphi, and you interviewed the CEO for your investing strategies video. Definitely, that's a video that you should be checking out.
Yes, I guess another promo we should throw out there. If you haven't checked out this month's Investing Strategies episode, thanks for the shout out there, Ed. I appreciate that. Yeah, the New America column, if that's something that you are familiar with on our site, or maybe if not, that's where we're going really in depth in that fundamental research on a company. And essentially this interview with Inphi CEO was that in video form. So a lot of really great information directly from the mouth of the CEO of a leading growth company. So definitely encourage you to check that out. You can go to investors.com/investing strategies for that interview. And with that, with all those promos, we really appreciate you sticking around and checking out our content across the site. But that's it for today. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow.